Each night at bedtime, Dad would read Uncle Wiggily Longears. Our paper carried one episode per night, and this rabbit's adventures were pure delight. But what about fairies, Dad? I'd ask with childish glee, as the Uncle Wiggily story ended and it was off to bed with me. I was born into a time of wonder, bedtime tales of talking animals and such. My bunny's whiskers and licorice always awaited Wiggly Longears' adventures oh so much. Each day I would relate to them last evening's episode. Sometimes their joyous thumping made my eardrums almost explode. When I told my stories of Tink and Peter Pan, my cat Snooper would just yawn as if to say, "So what about fairies? Have you ever seen one in the light of day?" So after bedtime stories, I always fought off sleep, and with my faithful dog Peppy, a midnight watch we'd keep. But children don't stay young. Imagination seems to fade. Friendships and growing up become important, and hunting for fairies gets delayed. By the time I became a mother, dreams of fairies had disappeared, until one night at story time when my little one said something weird. "What about fairies, Mom?" They were all eagerness to know, and so each day we had a quest for searching fairies to and fro. Funny how our inner child never really goes away, for fairies are our wonder. And though we never see them, they are here to stay. So though I'm old, I look for them and sometimes catch a fleeting glimpse. I've learned to ask my garden friends, the birds, the bugs, frogs, and water nymphs. What about the fairies? Have you seen one or two or three? I speak the many animal languages Uncle Wiggily Longears taught to me. I think Dad would be quite proud of the fairy garden I have grown, and that I found my fairy. I think he must have known. Now take a little walk with me in my fairy garden, because fairies do live here. They love the flowers, and sometimes in the early morning you can catch them playing tag. Or they may sleep in a fairy bell. And obviously this little guy doesn't quite fit. Or they could have tea parties in the afternoon sun. Or in the evening, they just stay outside the door. They might take a flight on a bird, or just rest on a log. And sometimes, when they're fancy, they fly on the butterfly. Or just lounge outside their house. Or sit and contemplate. Contemplate what sunshine is like. Or there's this special fairy that sometimes hitches a ride on a dragonfly to go shopping for a new dress. Look at how pretty this dress is. And they're going to the dance that this bird sings so beautifully, the music that they dance to, and the bee is preparing the honey for their feast. And this little fairy, if you can spot her, is guarding the wren's nest. But most of all, the fairies like those flowers. And here is my fairy. but here comes a friend. And sometimes they dance by the light of the moon. And this special fairy is wearing a royal robe as he goes to visit the spider. And this is Dipper, my crow that I talk to all the time. And this special one is Long Ears, but not a rabbit. And this is a fairy taking her bath in my very special pond. And there's my little fairy. How I started from the very beginning. And there's nothing quite like fairy lights at night. They will dance around. But they love flowers, so if you plant them, they will come.